con las noticias de hoy, vamos a hablar de algo sumamente importante para arrancar el día. El clima, sí. Bueno, como pudieron ver, estos días fueron medio feos, estuvieron lluviosos, no muy nublados y bueno. Pero hoy es la excepción. ¿Por qué? Porque hoy va a ser un día muy lindo. Va a haber una mínima de 15 grados más o menos a las 9 horas y una máxima de 23 grados a las 16 horas. Y a la noche, más o menos a las 21 horas, va a ser como 17 grados. Va a estar muy lindo, va a haber sol, va a estar, van a haber algunas nubes, pero va a estar muy lindo el día. Así que como dice el dicho, ¿no? Después de una tormenta sale el sol. Pero bueno, sin hablar más, los dejo ahora con Cristian, que va a hablar de algo sumamente importante en el día de hoy.
Gracias, Melina. Esperemos que se cumpla tu pronóstico. Bueno, el día de hoy conmemoraremos 68 años del fallecimiento de una de las personas más importantes para la historia argentina, como fue Eva Duarte de Perón, una persona admirada por muchos y odiada por otros. Y para ello veremos un video acerca de su vida y algunos de los acontecimientos que ha hecho que marcaron nuestra historia. Espero que les guste.
María Eva Duarte de Perón, also known as Evita, was born in poverty in the rural village of Los Toldos, as the youngest of 5 children, on May the 7th, 1919. Her parents, Juan Duarte and Juana Ibarguren, were not married. In fact, her father had a wife and a second family. Eva's family struggled financially for a long time, and their situation got even worse when her father, Juan, died in a car accident in 1926, when Evita was only 6 years old. Her mother was left in charge of all 5 children. A few years later, they decided to move to Junín, a city located in the northwest of Buenos Aires, where Blanca, one of her sisters, became a teacher. In 1934, at the age of 15, Eva moved to the city of Buenos Aires with the dream of becoming a stage, radio, and film actress. There, she found work with a large number of theater companies. 2 years later, she landed her first film role in Segundos Afuera and got a contract to perform on the radio. At the age of 20, she started her own entertainment business with producing radio programs. Because of her condition of actress, the society considered her to be a sex worker. But her life changed dramatically when she met Juan Domingo Perón in 1944 in a charity campaign to help people in San Juan, who had been through a terrible earthquake.
Eva, in her teens, shortly after arriving in Buenos Aires, began her acting career with supporting roles in theaters. However, she didn't act very often and, as we said before, she struggled financially for a long time. In 1936, a year after her arrival in Buenos Aires, she was hired by the Argentine company of Comedias Cómicas, with which she toured some provinces of Argentina. Step by step, Eva was gaining fame. She had a job as an actress and a model, which allowed her to begin her career as a radio host and a radio actress. In 1941, at the age of 22, she achieved financial stability when she was hired by the Candilejas company. 2 years later, they hired her to do a radio drama called Grandes Mujeres de Todos los Tiempos. And during that same year, she became one of the founders of Asociación Radial Argentina, of which she would become president. In 1944, she met Perón at the Luna Park Stadium, and from that moment on, her life changed drastically. During her first year, she continued working in the radio and the cinema, but the military coup forced her to stop all of her projects. In 1946, Eva began her political career supporting Perón in the electoral campaign. This would be a novelty for the time since women had no political rights. She knew how to separate her public figure from the president's wife, allowing herself to publicly comment on national and international politics. On the other hand, her link with the unions and the workers was key in the formation of the Peronist party. However, her most prominent role in the Peronist government was the Eva Perón Foundation, dedicated to social welfare work and the fight against poverty. Evita was also the president of the feminine Peronist party in 1949. Thanks to her efforts, legal equality in marriage and parental authority were achieved and became a part of the constitutional reform of 1949.
The Eva Perón Foundation was an institution created by Eva Duarte, wife of the then President of Argentina, Juan Domingo Perón, with the aim to provide social assistance. These were to help all kinds of people, such as women who didn't have an economic support or lived in gender-based violence. Eva hosted them, fed them, and gave them a job. Anyone who needed help could go to the foundation. Besides, she gave the kids toys, bicycles, dolls, and more. This one worked from 1948 to 1955. Evita, the founder, personally took care of many aspects of the foundation, and she even served for hours people arriving from all over the country with requests for help. This foundation was maintained through both voluntary and obligatory donations. Some of the donations were obligatory because entrepreneurs were asked for money, and they didn't agree very much with that. Prior to this foundation, there was the Society of Charity, an institution created by Bernardino Rivadavia in 1823, who decided that the state will be in charge of the care of the poor. Until that time, these tasks were reserved for the Catholic Church. The administration of this entity was left to a group of women, who also had to be responsible for the education of girls. This one worked until 1946. Later, the Eva Perón Foundation was created, which, unlike the Society of Charity, it not only helped people, but gave them a place to go. The Eva Perón Foundation was an idea of Evita after her experience in social assistance, which she started at the same time as she decided to join the job within the government's scheme. The foundation started on June the 19th, 1948, as the María Eva Duarte de Perón Foundation. On September the 25th, 1950, it was renamed the Eva Perón Foundation. Some of the functions of the foundation were to provide help, facilitate work elements, give scholarship for university and specialized studies to any person without resources who requests it, to build homes for homeless families, to create and or build educational, hospital, recreational or rest establishments, and more.
Evita was the target of unfounded aggression from conservative sectors to underestimate her figure as a political leader. Evita was a woman who never defined herself as a feminist, but who played a fundamental role in promoting the political participation of women and embraced the need to transform them into rights. On September 23, 1947, in Plaza de Mayo, Eva Perón addressed the Argentine women to celebrate the execution of the female vote in the Argentine Republic, a law that had been sanctioned on September 9th that recognized the equality of political rights between men and women and the possibility of women to elect and be elected in political terms. After a long-term struggle led by women of various ideologies, Peronism managed to sanction the project that would include women as a subject capable of voting for the first time. Evita's influence on the act of law was decisive. Upon returning from her official tour of Europe and America, she resumed her activity with various unions and associations with a single purpose: to obtain the female vote. She organized assemblies, published manifestos, and encouraged the workers to make their claim for their rights. The walls of Buenos Aires were covered with posters and banners to call on a mobilization in front of the Congress on the day of treatment in the Chamber of Deputies. Her death exposed the division that her figure generated. While millions grieved her departure, others celebrated it and even painted the expression "Long live cancer" on the walls. Evita's death marked the beginning of the end of Perón's government, which was overthrown by a dictatorship in 1955. Imposed by the anti-Peronists, the military stole Evita's embalmed corpse and took it to the cemetery in Italy, until it was returned in the 70s to her widower, and, since 1976, rests in Recoleta Cemetery in Buenos Aires. Today, Eva Perón continues to be an icon of the Justicialista Party and a symbol that marked an era of the Argentine story.